y'all, this is Deanna. Welcome to my channel. I am back with my next Christmas in July. Sorry I wasn't able to get on yesterday. Y'all, I have been so busy at work this week, and it's just been a super busy week. And so anyway, one night I went to bed like at 8 o'clock. I was so tired. And so I'm like, I can't do it. So anyway, I came in here last night and I started working on what I wanted to do today. I wanted to put it out last night, but I'm going to make an album, and I'm going to make it a Christmas album. And I want this to be like the countdown to Christmas, or a Christmas countdown album, kind of like an advent calendar in a way, but for you to put your photos in. And so I came in here last night and I started working on my pages, how I wanted to do the pages. And literally my trash can is half full of scrap paper that I kept using and messing up because I was trying to design the pages the way I wanted to do it, to try to make it really simple. And I think I have done that. So let's get started first of all with our cover and get our stuff already cut and put together. So what you're going to need is a piece of chipboard, and this is just a medium weight chipboard. This album is going to be a small one. It's going to be 5 by 5. So I'm going to cut my chipboard at 5 by 5. You see this one, actually it cuts pretty well. And so I'm going to turn it and cut my other 5-inch. I'm going to need 2 of these. And I'm going to do a 2-inch spine. Okay, so there's one. If your chipboard is a little bit thicker, I have had people ask me about how do I cut my chipboard. I just use my trimmer. If it's a little bit thicker than what I'm using, you just go over it several times. You can flip it over in the same way. So, okay, so I've got my pieces right here. I've got 2 5 by 5 and then a 2-inch spine, and it's by 5, as you can see. Okay, so now we're going to get it adhered to my paper. I'm going to use some red cardstock just because it's a Christmas album. I'm going to have to join 2 pieces together. So I've already added a piece of score tape on here, which my score tape I got from Amazon. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pull this, and I think I'm going to pull it this way, so I'll be able to pull that a little easier. And I'm going to line this up, kind of make sure that it's going to be lined up as best I can get it. Okay. And then I'm just going to pull that off. Okay. So now I've got my papers all joined together. Let me use my bone folder, get this pressed down. Okay, so now I'm going to need to add my pieces on here, okay? And of course, we're not going to need this whole height, but I'm going to just trim it. I'm just going to trim it in a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some tape to all my pieces, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my chipboard all taped with the tape on the back, as you can see. And what I always do with my albums, and if you've seen me make an album, you know that I always kind of start off by scoring at 1 inch on the bottom, and then I'll do 1 inch on the side. It kind of gives me a guide of where I'm going to start at. So that way then I know where my corner is. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this out of the way. Okay, and you can kind of bend them up just a little bit if you like, just kind of so it's easier for you to see it. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my pieces of chipboard. I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. And one more. Okay, I'm lining it on that score line. There we go. I'm going to add my other 2 pieces. I thought about skipping this part and just showing it already done, but there could be someone that's new that has never made an album before, so I thought I would go ahead and do it. Now, On my next one, make sure you leave about 1/8 of an inch or so in between. That way you have room for your pieces to fold. Add the left. I'm going to add the next one. Okay, so now that we've got this, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to kind of fold up on my sides. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to miter your corners. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to miter. Make sure you leave a little bit of edge I didn't cut. I don't think I got enough. There we go. I'm going to do this one. This one. And lastly, this one. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to get these all glued down. So I'm going to try to use my little Faithful glue bottle here. I'm going to add my glue. Okay. You can add some tape on here. And I usually do, if it's one that I'm going to sell, I usually will, but just for videoing purposes, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna make sure I get that down really well. Okay, flip it around, do this other side. And the reason I do right up along the edge is that so the paper will adhere to the side of your chipboard. This could be a right or wrong way to do it. This is just the way Deanna does it. So, and it works for me. There are a lot of people out there that actually can make some major, beautiful, beautiful albums like Bunny Hollow Crafts, amazing Kelly Crafts It All, amazing, amazing album makers. Okay, so now I'm going to do the sides. Make sure when you get over here, you can kind of push these edges in a little bit. I'm just going to push them in a little bit. And then I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to add my glue. Okay, and I'm going to get that pressed down. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other side, and then we've officially got this all covered. Okay. There we go. So now you've officially got the base of your cover. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make sure everything is nicely adhered. Okay. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to kind of take it and kind of work the paper. And then you've got your base of your album. Okay? So I'm going to choose to leave the seam on the back. Now, a lot of people, they don't like the seam on that. They usually will put it here if they have to. Me, it doesn't really bother me, but I do like to put it on the back. I won't put it on the front, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get ready to make our hinges. And then we'll be able to get this together. This album is not going to take as long to make, I promise you. Okay, so I'm going to get ready for our hinges. Okay, so for our hinges, you're going to need a piece of paper that measures 4.5 by 9, about 9.5. I'm a little bit shy. No, actually, I'm right on 9.5. Okay, so this is my notes that I made last night, so I know what to do here today. So we're gonna do a 1/2 inch hinge. So I've scored it 1.5, 2, and 2.5. That makes one hinge. Then you're gonna count over 3 lines on your scoreboard. 1, 2, 3. Which that puts me right at 2 7/8, okay? Okay, I'm gonna write this down so I can make sure I tell you guys correctly here. 2 7/8. Okay, now I'm going to do, I need to do a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go over, and a 1/2 inch, if you count the lines on your scoreboard, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, which puts me at 3 3/8. 3 3/8. And then you count over 4 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that puts me at 3 7/8. Okay, I'm writing these down. So I've got one hinge, a 3/8 inch gusset, and then another hinge. Now I'm going to do a 3/8 inch for the valley. Okay, you can think of it that way. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go over to 4 1/4. So I'm going to do 4 1/4. And then I'm going to need my inch, because that's my valley. So now I need my 1/2 inch and then a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go up to, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that puts me at 4 3/4. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that puts me at 5 1/4. So 4 3/4 and 5 1/4. Okay. So now we have 1 hinge of valley, 2 hinges of valley, 3 hinge. Now I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, and that puts me at 5 5/8. And now that's my last valley, and then I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That puts me at 6 1/8. And let me write that down. If I don't write these down, y'all. And then I'm going to do 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that puts me up to 6 5/8. Okay. So there we go. Got 6 5/8. So that gives me this one, and this one is a hinge. That's a valley. Hinge, hinge, valley. Hinge, hinge, valley. Hinge, hinge, and then you have the rest. Okay, we're not going to need all that on there. I can cut some off. Okay, so that's all you need on your scoreboard for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this off a little bit, just so it's kind of even. So I'm going to go over an 1.5 inches just so it matches the other side. Okay, so now this is what it's going to look like. Okay. Let me see if I can get you in just a little bit more. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my score tape, and let me grab my smaller score tape. Okay, I grabbed this is a 1/4 inch score tape, and I've gone ahead and put my first 3 strips, but I'm gonna show you the last strip I'm gonna do. So this is my first 1/2 inch right here. So I put my score tape there. You're gonna skip the other side, and you'll skip your valley. Now I'm gonna put another one. So every 3rd spot, you're gonna put a piece of score tape. And so now I'm going to skip 1, 2, and now I'm over here to the last hinge and put my score tape. Okay. So I'm going to make sure this is down really well. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my pieces, and I'm going to just kind of gently fold, and you can just grab it. It'll grab like this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get my folding going here. And then I'm going to remove my score tape. So see how those end up working? You got your mountains and you got your valleys. Okay, and now my last piece, or my last section, I should say, looks like this. Now I'm going to take my score tape, and I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to gently fold this over, making sure my sides are parallel, and press that down. I'm going to fold this back, okay? I'm going to go ahead and take off the next piece of tape, and I'm going to fold that part over, so that way it ends up looking like this, okay? So then, I'm going to go take off the next one. And then my last one, take that off, and I'm going to fold that one. And now it ends up looking like this. You've got 4 hinges, okay? Take your bone folder or whatever you choose to use, and just kind of work them, okay? now we go. It looks like this. So it's going to fit in the center here. So I did mine 4.5 in height. My album is going to be 5 inches in height. So it's going to fit right down in there. I got a little piece of tape here. Now what I like to do is I like to go ahead and put my tape on each side too, so it's all ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. I'm going to try to get as much things as I can done to make it a little easier on myself when I'm getting my pages all put in. So I'm going to go ahead. You're going to need a piece of tape on each side. Okay. I had 2 people today reach out to me regarding their health and asking for prayers. So I'm not going to say their names, but we just want to let them know, if you're watching, that you're in our prayers. And yeah, just pray for God's healing for you or a loved one, or God's will. That's what we pray for. So now that's ready to go. Let's use that bone folder again and press this down. This bone folder I'm using, if you're new to crafting and you need a bone folder, I got this on Amazon. It's a Teflon bone folder. It's the best one ever. First time I saw it, and I'm like, I need that in my life. Becky on Bonnie Hollow Crafts was actually using it. So she said it's a Teflon bone folder. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now, before I go any farther, I'm going to take it, and from that score mark over here, I'm going to put my scissors and I'm going to cut some edges off here. I find it easier for me to do this, and that way I can slide my pages on to the hinge if I've already got it all nice and trimmed. I've done it where I've forgotten before, and I have to go down there, and I don't get it down close to that score line like I would like. So I'm just going to snip them off before I adhere it to the book. Okay, so now this is what we've got. Let's get rid of a little trash here. Or move it off to the side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adhere this to the book in the center. So I'm going to just kind of find my centers. And you can actually, if you want to take like a little pencil so it's easy for you to see where you're going to put it or whatever, just kind of measure it up and put it like in the center. You want to make sure you've got close to the same amount of distance from the top and the bottom and so forth. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere. I'm going to put some more tape on here, and then I'm going to add glue. So this is a 1-inch tape. Okay. Okay, so now I've got that. I am going to get this all pressed down nice and pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to get this peeled off. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of my tape. And I'm just going to pray that I can get it on straight. Okay, last one. So if you see any of like little tape sticking over, you know, just kind of work it and push it over. Okay, I'm going to take my glue now, and I'm adding glue. I do this just because it helps it to stay a little better. Oopsie, I'm so sorry, y'all. I bumped that. Kind of helps me here. And I'm sticking to the center. We're going to get this on. Okay. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it to the center. So you want to make sure your hinges are centered. Just do the best you can. Nothing's perfect. But I'm going to line this up. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to get that pressed down. Press it down, press it down, press down. And there we go. I like to try to make sure I get it good and adhered, because you never know. I've made albums before, like when I first started learning how to make them, I would just put tape, and then the pages, if they got a little heavy or whatever, they would actually, you know, they would start falling off, and yeah, it was like a waste of time. Okay, I'm going to take my bone folder and gently just kind of go in the creases, kind of work that a little bit. I got glue on there, but it's okay. I'm going to cover it up. Okay. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Okay. Okay, so now this is the base star to the cover of our little album, our countdown to Christmas here. Okay. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut myself some designer series paper to put inside our cover here. Okay, so what I do is I just kind of measure up inside of my album to see just how big I want it. So I'm gonna grab my scoreboard because it's got these extra little lines. So I cut it at 4 7/8 square. So 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. Okay, let me write that down. And I did that. I already cut my pieces for the front as well. So I did the same thing for the front, and then I cut myself a spine piece. So now I'm going to go ahead. This is going to be adhered right up inside here. Okay. And let's go ahead and do this before we start making our pockets. And actually, I think I'm going to use my tape runner. I like this pretty side, but I like this one too. So just going to go with it. Make sure you put your tape along the edge. Okay, a little tape there. Now I like to kind of line it up along the edge, just kind of making sure. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I get it as straight as I can. Not gonna worry. Okay, make sure you got that pressed down really well. Does not change it already. Let's add tape here, tape on the back again of the other piece. Gonna find that edge, making sure it's semi-even. That's not too bad. Okay, get that down. Okay, so there we go. Now we have our inside pages, okay? We'll do the outside in a sec. Let's go ahead and work on our pages, and we're gonna do the outside. Got a little glue on there, but it's going to be a good little size album. Okay, so what you're going to need for your pages, and this is the way our pages are going to look. You're going to do 4 signatures, and they're going to be just like this. That's why I changed it to only 3/8 of an inch in between my hinges, because this is how they're going to be. But this is 6 pages. This one sheet of paper made 6 pages. Okay, so I've got 1 page, 2 page, and as you see, I have a little tuck spot here for a photo mat or whatever, and here's another one. Got a pocket here. This is my next one. So this is already, you know, already got my 4 pages, and 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. If you see this is like a template I made last night. Believe me, you lost a lot of paper. Luckily, I used some stuff I didn't really use much. So, yeah. Okay, so what we're going to need, you're going to need to take a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and you're going to cut it down to 9 by 10. Okay, so 9 by 10. So let me get that cut. Okay, I've got 9. And then I'm going to cut it, turn it, and cut it by 10. It's hard to believe that a 9 by 10 is going to make all those pages. Okay. Save your little extra pieces right here because you can use those, okay? Okay, so now grab your scoreboard. And what you're going to do on the 9-inch side, you're going to score it right down in half at 4.5 inches. Okay? On the 10-inch side, turn it, and on 10-inch, you're going to score at 4.5, and you're going to score it at 9 inches. Okay? This extra little piece over here makes the little side flaps for the tucks for the ones that are on the sides of my page. Okay? This part. Okay? So that's all we're going to need on that. So I'm going to go ahead, let's go ahead and fold and make sure we try to get it as straight as we can. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that I didn't get it all crooked here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fold this one. A little glue or something on it. Use my bone folder, make it nice and crispy. And this way, fold this one as well. Okay, so what you need to do is your flaps are over here. Your extra little pieces are over here, okay? You're going to cut, take your scissors, and you're going to cut along this score line up to the center point. Okay, so there we go, okay? So now this is what it actually looks like, okay? So you can have, this one is going to be, can be folded in. This flap will be folded. This part is going to fold backward, and then this one folds, and then the little flap goes in. So that's how we make that many pages, okay? So let's see it again. So here it is right here, okay? You're going to fold it over. So the bottom one, fold this flap in and fold it over. So I'm going to try to make this lined up a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to use my bone folder there so I can make my pages, try to make them nicely. Now this part here that you still have adhered up here, go ahead and leave that. You don't want to cut on that. So I'm going to cut, I'm going to fold that back. Fold, okay. Now you got your last one, it's going to go fold backward, and then you're going to fold that piece forward. So it ends up looking like that. So now you literally, you have 6 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, for the countdown. Okay, so now you have this part right here, and this is where we're going to put the hinge up inside there. And then once we're done and we seal the bottom, we'll also have a spot here where we can put a photo mat. Okay, so I think the easiest thing to do is to go ahead and get all your papers matted on here, and then we can adhere it to the book. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I want to make sure it's nice and crisp. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to go ahead, and I am using the paper collection that I got the other day. It is called, let me see if I can see the name on the bottom here. It's a Wonderful Christmas, okay? So I've got a bunch, and this one is by Photo Play. Here's the front. So I'm just, this is the one I ordered from scrapbook.com, and I end up getting 2. So it's going to work well. I'll still have tons left over. As you see, I've been cutting into it. So I'm going to kind of move those, and I might not even have to cut in but to one of my things. So I've got my sticker sheets. which we'll utilize that. This is really beautiful right here. That would be great on the front. There might be a cut apart that looks like that too. So yeah, we wish you a Merry Christmas, warm winter wishes, whichever you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to put the cut aparts to the side. And I am going to use this one for the front. So I've already got those pieces cut, so I know I can cut into this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my trimmer and I'm just going to measure my pieces of paper up against it. I want to make sure that this is nice and even. Okay, so I'm making sure that if anything moved, I want my pages try to be as straight as I can get them. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is I like to just take it and I measure my paper. I'm gonna measure my paper like this, and that way then I know how big to cut them. So I'm just going to cut all my papers and then I'll be back. Also too, I wanted to jump on really fast as I'm cutting my papers. A little tip for you, after you've measured how big you want your paper, so you don't have to keep remembering, what I do is I just make a little mark on with a pencil on my cutter, on my trimmer, and that way then I know every time that's just where I've got to cut. And it's kind of a time saver for me. It kind of helps me from having to worry about measuring it every time. I can just go and I can just cut. I'm going to need quite a few more of these, so I'm going to go ahead and cut as many as I can. But as you see, all I got to do is go up to that little line at the top, or unless you just want to remember where it's at. And I'm just going to go and add it in. Okay. And you might say, what about when you do that, where's the other pocket? Well, we're going to make that pocket. It's going to be super simple. Okay, I'm going to grab one more piece here. I love this striped piece on the back. So make sure you cut your papers, make sure it's in the right direction. So you want to watch out for that. You want to make sure if you're using that directional print, that you're cutting the right way, because you don't want your snowmans or whatever upside down. And these are pretty much squares, so I know I can use that same mark just to cut it so I have my even squares. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start with those. And let me see what's on the back of this other one. This one actually is really beautiful too, and I really want to make sure. Let me do one more. I want to make sure that I incorporate this paper in here as well. Okay, because I love the holly leaves on the other side. And let's cut this. I'm going to cut that other one. And then we'll put together our pages. Hopefully you stuck this out with me, because this is the good part. You know, this is the part that you're going to want to know how to do so you can make your pages. So your pages, your 24 pages plus the back cover, we're including the back cover, is going to be number 25 for our countdown to Christmas, okay? So you're only going to need 4 scrapbook pieces for that, okay? Okay, so I'm picking this up. Here, I was taking it with me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by adhering my papers, and I'm just going to decide what do I want. And I think, you know, I really like this. So I think I'm going to start with this one on my cover. So I'm just going to go over here and use my tape. And I'm going to tape it down. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to try to line up the edges, and I think I'm going to do it this way because I want to make sure these edges all look nice and pretty. Okay, so there's our first page. It's matted. We'll come back over and we'll kind of clean it up and like get everything pressed down. We'll do that in the end. Let's just get this on. We're going to see how fast we can get this done. Okay, before you adhere this part of your pocket down, your side pocket, let's go ahead and put, okay, I'm going to put it, I want to make sure I see the center. You want to go ahead and you want to put your paper down there. Okay, not too bad. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to go to this one. Let's try a different one here. Let's go over here. I want to try a striped. Okay, that's sticky. It is sticky. Okay, trying to find the center, holding along the edge. And there we go. So I'm going to keep going, and then we're going to put our pocket. Okay, so let's see here. What I put on the front. I think I'll put this one. I think that this one, I think this white paper is actually, this one is actually my favorite out of this whole collection. It's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make sure I'm lined up. Okay, not bad. Okay, I should have actually, you know what? I got it upside down. Let's see if I can pull it off. Sometimes you just got to save it, you know. Okay, now we've got the front and the back of this, and then we'll be good to go for just a bit. Okay, so let's use this one. So I'm going to get this pressed, and this one I really want to pay attention to the center, because those little flaps over on the side, they will cover up if it's not totally straight. As you see, that'll cover. So now I'm going to do the back, and let's just go with this one. Actually, let's use this color. Okay, so I'm going to get this adhered to the back. I'm going to get it right along that score mark. Okay, so now now let's get our pockets in place, okay? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to take some glue. You're going to put your glue right along the top, right along that bottom. And I'm going to take my fingers from the center and press outward. I don't like just starting the out because sometimes it could buckle, okay? Okay, so there we go. Now I've got that one. I'm going to go ahead and get this one adhered down. From the center, press outward. Okay, so now this is what we have. Let's go ahead and get some designer paper on these flaps. Let's see here. I'm going to use, I think I'll utilize, let's see what I've got inside this other one. I've already got that. Let's see here. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. Oh, you know, that kind of looks nice. So let's just do that. So this right here we know is 1 inch, okay? So you're going to cut your strip, the height of your paper, by 3/4. And so I'm going to need 2 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2. I'll just use the same paper. Okay, so that's our 2 pieces. So this one is going to go here. So let's go ahead. I'll just use my glue for this. Make sure you get your glue up along the edge. Okay. Okay, so now we have a pocket there. Let's go ahead and get this one down. Put this one over here. So I'm just lining it up. Okay, now we need our pocket over here. As you see, we have this pocket at the bottom, okay? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to cut a piece of paper, the width of our paper, which our pockets are at exactly 4.5. So I'm going to do a little less than 4.5 on my red paper. So let me see if I can find a scrap. I do got some scraps over here. Okay, so I'm going to do a little less than a 4.5. So I'm going to actually use my little line that I created. Okay, so I think that will actually work out well. And then let's see how wide this is. This is about, it's about 3 inches, okay? So I'm going to score it at 1.5, and you only need 1 for the 2 pockets, okay? So I'm going to put this on my scoreboard, and I'm going to score it at 1.5, okay? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fold on that crease, press it down. You're going to go in here and find your page. Now, right here, because this opens up still, let's go ahead and put a little bit of glue right along the bottom here. So let me open it up. I'll show you. I'm going to put a little glue just to seal this bottom. Just kind of give it a little something. But you only want to do it toward the bottom because you're going to have this opening right here to be able to slide it on your hinges. So I'm going to press that down. Get that pressed down good. Okay. Now I'm going to take my piece, and on this part on the bottom that we just glued, you're going to put this along this, right up along here, and we're just going to adhere that on. So I like to just, like what I did last night, is I just actually put a strip of glue on one side, and I put it in place, like right along that edge, and then I just folded it up. Okay, so just kind of see how you can get it right there. And then once you've got it in place, go ahead and put your glue on there. Press that down. Do the other side. Okay. So I could have went over just a little more to kind of cover up that white part of the paper, but that's okay. That's okay. So now, as you see here, now I'm just going to cut myself some little pieces for that. Just some designer paper here. And you want to make sure it's up as much as you can get it. Okay, so let me find some paper here. So let's see here. So we know that our pocket is 1.5 inches tall, so I'm going to do a little bit less than 1.5 inches on my paper that I need. And I know that by this little line up here, I know that's the width. So I'm going to bring it over just a little less. I'm going to do the same thing again, just a little less from my little line on there. Or you can just measure it up against your pocket. And now I'm going to adhere these on. Okay, I'm going to add up here. So now I have a sweet pocket. See, there's one. I'm going to do this side. And I'm going to add it on here. I'll just start from the outside on here and kind of to line up. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to press everything down really well. Make sure we're looking good. We've now officially just made our 6 pages. Okay, so what we have here is we have this opening where we're going to slide it on the hinge, but we also have this one right up in here where we can put another photo mat. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to add, I've got 2 pages. I'll make the other 2 signatures off camera. So let's go ahead. We're going to get this on. And I'm just going to kind of pull my tape off a little bit. And I'm going to find my little opening. I'm going to slide it down. And I can even take this and kind of go like this and slide it gonna slide it on. Okay, I'm gonna put it down. That looks good. You see where I've put it? See right there? There's the bottom. So I've got it up just a little bit, and that's actually gonna work out just beautifully. Take it and pull my tape off. And now I'm gonna go up underneath this other side. Let me grab my little, see if I've got my poker tool. Hold on, y'all. I'm just making a mess here. I'm gonna grab my other grab my other piece of tape that's up underneath here. See, by putting your tape on ahead of time, that sure is helpful, huh? Okay, now I've got it. Make sure you've got it on straight. And there we go. Now we have our first set of pages installed. Okay, so I've got all my pages in. Look how good it looks. Literally 4 signatures with only 4 sheets of 12 by 12 paper made all of these, and look how simple it was. So simple. Okay, so now we're going to work on the cover. So I've already got my papers cut for the cover, but I want to put some ribbon enclosure or some seam binding enclosure on it, just so that way then it has like a little way for it to be tied closed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure out my seam binding. And my seam binding did come from my Scrap Cabin shop on Etsy. So I will try to see if I can link all this stuff below. But she is the one that does the best seam binding in my opinion. I've ordered from her many times. So, okay. So I went ahead and cut 2 pieces. I'm going to make sure they're all even. And I'm going to get you out just a little bit. So I don't want you to be too close here. So I'm going to find my center, and I'm going to kind of flatten it out. So here is my center pretty well. So, and I think it actually would be the best for me to do one at a time. So I'm going to use some glue, kind of go down the center of my book. And here's my center. So I'm going to bring this over just like this. If you're not new to my channel, I have done this many times. This is the way I find is easiest. So, put this here. And then I'm going to go around the back part. My husband came home, so I went in there and sat with him for a bit while I was finishing the other pages. And I was sitting there just cutting away, and I'm like, oh, let me get a new glue bottle. So I had to go get a new glue one. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to find my red. This is the only red I have. It's kind of a different red, but it's going to be fine. Okay, now so I'm going to keep my center, and then I'm going to add my glue. I'm remembering where that center is, just so they'll try to be semi-even. Go over and bring it around toward the front. Okay, so they don't have to be totally perfect on top of each other. Just kind of eyeball it. Okay, so it looks like that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of tie it off a little bit while we work on the front. Let's see if I can do this without messing things up. Okay, it's all coming up. I'm going to have to stick some glue on there again. Okay, so there we go. Get some glue under there. Okay, get yourself down there, mister. Okay, so I'm going to kind of keep it, I'm going to just kind of go ahead and tie a little bow over here, and then we're going to work on this cover. Okay, if you're going to put seam binding, make sure you put it before you put your paper. Okay, so now this is the cover. This is the papers I'm going to use for the cover. Isn't that just gorgeous? I just love this. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to use some glue on this. I want it to adhere really well. Put some glue. And all I did is my book is 5 by 5, so I just cut it down about 2/8 of an inch shorter on both sides. That way then you still got a little nice red border. Okay, and I'm just gonna get this down. Okay, doesn't it look pretty? I love that. That is so, so, so pretty. So I'm gonna use my bone folder here, and I'm going to gently get it pressed down. You want to make sure you have ample glue up underneath this part because of this seam binding. I'm going to give it a little extra. Okay, so you want to make sure that's nicely pressed down. Flip it over. We're going to do the back, and I'm going to do the same picture on the back. Because this one's kind of dark for me, so I don't. Okay, get that on. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I've been wanting to do another album. It's been a bit since I've done one. I think the last one I did was making the mini album for my brother's doggy Lottie. And I think that's the last one I've done in a bit, so. Okay, make sure you got it pressed down. Use my bone folder. Okay, so there's the front and the back. Now I've got a piece for the spine. And I think I don't want to do that side. Well, it's kind of, well, I don't know. No, I think I'm gonna keep with this one. And get this pressed down. Get lots of glue so we can get it all nicely adhered. Okay, press this down good. You don't have to overthink your covers. You can just make it simple if you like. Okay, so there's our cover, all nicely covered there. And so now I thought it would be good, and I've done this before with some doilies on here. And I think that I'm not sure if I want to just do the red, but I think with the white, I think that looks really pretty. Just doing something like that. So I think that I'll do kind of a mauve. They don't have to be, it doesn't have to be hearts. I just wanted to have color. I think that would look good. Okay, so I'm gonna glue this one down. Okay, I'm gonna kind of put it off up here to the, like as a, kind of off to the side a little bit. I'm gonna do the white one, kind of like that. I think I got these like at Target once upon a time. You can buy doilies a lot of places. Just gonna put a little bit. You can't really see the design of the paper now that I've got it covered up. Oops, get back over there. But it's okay because you've got it all over. So now I'm just going to put this here. If you want to label it, countdown to Christmas or whatever, but I think when you do your inside, you put your numbers and it's going to be just fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I need to be able to see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to lay this down. Okay, get that pressed down, and I use some double-sided foam tape on that. Okay, so there, now we got this. Okay, let's put a few of these. It wouldn't be the same without putting a few jimmies. You've always got to put some jimmies. Okay. So I'm just going to put just a couple. If you want to like do something on top of the little holly berries, you can. I'm just kind of make this a little bit faster. So I know my video is long already, but this was a big project. Okay, I'm just going to go with that. Okay, so add more to your cover, but this is kind of simple, but you can add more to your cover. Okay, so let's kind of take a walk through. So you'll have this page, this in here, and I think that we should put like a cut apart or something there. And I kind of like, I gotta wish you a Merry Christmas. So I really think, I don't have any kind of Santa in there, so I think I'm gonna use that. So I'm gonna cut that down. And you want to mat it up. I hope that you were able to stick around with me. I do know that this is long, and I know I just repeated myself, but I know it was long. But, you know, you gotta see the end of a project. You just got to. Okay. And if you can't watch the whole thing all at once, you can always save it and come back to it. Okay, so I'm going to add this one. And what you need to do, and I'm probably not going to go through and do the whole thing, okay? Because I think it's going to take a lot longer. But what you need to do is on each page, you're going to put a number. And look over here. See, I've got a 25. So I know back here, this is going to be my page 25. So I think I'm going to add the numbers and we'll come back and do a final walkthrough. Okay, so I've almost got it completed, but that's all I'm going to be able to do tonight. So I thought I would just show you what it looks like so far. So this is what I did with the cover. So I showed you how I put the cut apart. I added the jimmies, but I also added some little stars down here. I had a little peppermint and this little pennant looking flag. And I actually got those out of some chipboard pieces that I had. And on the spine, I just added a present. You could add a dangle if you want or whatever. You could add whatever you want, but I thought it would be cute just to add like a little present. And so I think that it just turned out just darling. I think it's just so cute. So now let's just go in. I've only made a few photo mats, but this is what it looks like. So I added a cut apart in the front and a little chipboard piece with a Christmas tree. And then for all my numbers, what I did is, let me see where I put my punch. I used this 1-inch scallop punch. It's a We Are Memory Keepers that I got at Joann Fabrics. And I just punched out a bunch of circles and I just drew on the numbers myself. Because I didn't have like any numbers that I could, that I had already pre-written or pre-printed. So I just wrote them out myself. So this one, I just added a photo mat on here, added a chipboard piece and so forth. And then over here, I just added some chipboard pieces and I put Joy, and this is number 2. And I just added this little photo mat in here. It could come in and out. And then on the third one, here's the 3, and I just put Santa's on its way. And of course, it has a removable photo mat. And then in between this one, it does have a larger photo mat in there as well. I didn't put paper on the back. I'm kind of short on time tonight, so I wanted to get this all put together and out for y'all tonight. So anyway, I've got to put photo mats on all of these, but as you see, I just added some random little chipboard pieces, and I've still got a little decorating to go. But I went ahead and added all my numbers throughout, and it's gonna be so cute once I finish adding all the photo mats. And as you see here in all of these, I did add a photo mat up inside here as well. You can see I added, there's 4 of those. And then toward the back, this is number 25. I went and added a photo mat, and these are chipboard pieces. I put Happy Holidays. You don't have to put photos. You can even just put journal something on here. So that's my thoughts on it. You can just journal. I think that it'll just be so fun. But I'm going to go back. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to finish up cutting up some photo mats and put in here. And I think it'll be so cute. And but I just love how it turned out. I just think it turned out beautiful. And yeah, I just think it is a sweet little thing that you could maybe give to someone. Like maybe if you've been keeping track of every day throughout the Christmas season and you want to give something special to someone, you can take pictures or write something to them every day and just give them this sweet countdown to Christmas mini album. And that way then they would have it, and it would have maybe just special notes to that person, random pictures, maybe anything that you could think of that reminds you of that person. And then on the last day, maybe on the 25th, you can have a picture taken of you and your loved one or whoever you decide to give it to, and put it on number 25. There's so much that you can do with this, and I think it just turned out absolutely beautiful. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this was a bit long, but you know, it's a lot of work. And but anyway, I really love how it turned out. I think it's just precious. On here on the little holly leaves, if you want to use some like little tiny Jimmy dots and go along there, or if you want to put some stickles or something on there, that would be so pretty too. But yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you love how I made the signatures super easy and fast. And yeah, I just love it. Anyway, have a great night, y'all. I'm gonna get off here. I need to get this put together for you and add it to my channel, and so that way you can enjoy it. Anyway, have a great Thursday evening, and I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.